You know that feeling when everything just clicks? Your mind is sharp, your mood is steady, your body feels like it's firing on all cylinders. That's not luck, that's what your body is capable of every single day. Now, I've looked into a lot of fish oil supplements, and honestly, most of them are mystery-sourced, over-processed, blasted with heat, and packed with synthetic add-ins. But this one is different. Omega-3 Rejuvenate from Big Bold Health starts with wild Alaskan salmon and cod, sustainably caught from some of the cleanest waters on the planet, and then it's processed at low temperatures to preserve what actually matters. We're talking about real omega-3s, naturally occurring vitamins A and D, and pro-resolving mediators, or PRMs, that help your body balance its own immune response. What does that mean for you? Clearer thinking, more stable mood, and real nature-based support for your heart and immune system. No shortcuts, no synthetic nonsense. And it was developed by Dr. Jeffrey Bland, a true pioneer in the world of complementary health. If you want to feel the difference, go to bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman. That's bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman and use code Hoffman for 20% off site-wide. Once you feel it, you'll know. Welcome back to Intelligent Medicine. Dr. Ronald Hoffman here. 877. I was going to give the number for the radio. I feel like I'm doing the radio. 877-726-8255 if you want to call into the radio program that we do once a week. That's heard over many affiliates across the country. You can also listen online. And it becomes a podcast on Monday morning, so if you can't make an appointment to listen to it, you can always listen to it once it becomes a podcast. But today it's Q&A with Leyla, which is another kind of podcast. The way to get through to us is questions@drhoffman.net. And so let's continue with questions. What do we have?
Okay. We've got an email from Janine. Janine wants to know, she has polycythemia caused by erythropoietin receptor mutation. Is there a better way of dealing with this condition than a monthly phlebotomy? What's the best treatment? Yeah.
Well, you have no better resource when it comes to polycythemia vera than Dr. Ronald Hoffman. But I'm not the right Dr. Ronald Hoffman. There is my namesake, and I met him during my medical training, and I said, this could get complicated because we both have the same name. We're both going to be in medicine. We're both going to practice in New York. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be some mix-ups. Okay. And so interesting, this guy's background is interesting. He's been studying polycythemia vera since the 70s. He was the principal investigator of the polycythemia vera study group. He was executive secretary of the polycythemia vera study group from 1976 to 1977 already. So he's been studying it. So here's the deal. What is a myeloproliferative neoplasm? Okay. A neoplasm is a kind of a cancer, right? And myeloproliferative means that the bone marrow goes haywire.
Yeah.
And it will hyperproduce. Well, what are the constituents made by the bone marrow? It's red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets.
Yeah.
And you can have myeloproliferative diseases that cause either your red blood cells to go up, which is polycythemia vera, or you can have myeloproliferative disorders where your platelets go sky high, or you can have white blood cells, and that's leukemia. That's various forms of leukemia. So it's T cell, B cell. Okay. Yeah. So they've been working on this for a long time, right? And they finally come up with treatments, and so there's a first-in-class trials of drugs that are now addressing this. So I would suggest that you get in touch with Mount Sinai and see if you get an appointment with Dr. Ronald Hoffman. Now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
He's a hematologist?
He's a hematologist oncologist.
Okay.
So there are treatments in clinical trials, and I think there may be some existing drugs that finally address this. Now, in the past, one of the treatments for this was urea. And urea is one of the oldest organic chemicals. We discovered it in the 19th century. Sounds a little like urine, doesn't it? Well, it's actually the principal nitrogenous waste product that's in urine, urea.
Mm-hmm.
And so taking urea, not drinking urine, but, there's actually a history of drinking urine as a treatment for various diseases.
I've heard that.
And mostly that was nuts and a waste of time and quackery. But for this one condition, there's some plausibility because urea seems to be destructive to the lifetime of red blood cells, which ordinarily is a bad thing. But in this case, it would be
a good thing.
Maybe a good thing. But also the way to treat it is with what's called, I think this person referred to it as they get their blood drawn out. They have a high blood count. normally hematocrit is like,
they have a bloodletting.
38 to 45 or so, depending on if you're a man or woman. And these people get, 50, 60, and then your blood gets thick and it can sludge and you can have a stroke. So you've got to thin the blood. So you get your blood drawn out. And that's not a satisfactory answer because it really is treating not the cause. It's not a root cause treatment, but addressing it. So, they say that, when you do a lot of phlebotomies, you can get iron deficiency.
True.
And so, it's not great.
Yeah.
So they now have trials of new medication that's called rusfertide, an injectable medication which patients can self-administer at home. And it's a hepcidin mimic. So that's how it works. That's a hormone produced by the liver that serves as a master regulator of iron trafficking, and it blocks the export of iron to the blood so that you, in effect, deprive your red blood cells of iron and you decrease the red blood cell production. So that's kind of a way to tackle it at a root cause level. And
you exchange it for anemia, iron deficiency, anemia, no?
It actually will, if you do it right, it shouldn't cause anemia. It should just keep you to normal levels. If you do too much, it's going to cause iron deficiency and anemia.
Yeah.
But anyway, this guy figured that out. Kudos to him. He's a brilliant guy. And, I used to sometimes get his mail.
Right. Or people will call the office and we'd realize, oh no, this is the other Dr. Ronald Hoffman you want. Okay.
So I got to say, the only nutritional implication for this that I can think of, because I can't really think of a supplement that's going to make that better, or a diet that's going to make that better.
Yeah.
Now, you might say, if you have a very high red blood cell count, you should eat less meat and you should restrict your iron intake.
Mm-hmm.
No, because actually, when you're getting phlebotomy, you become iron deficient.
Yes. So you need to replace that.
The problem is not, you can't restrict your iron enough. And that would have other bad effects because iron has more influences than just on your red blood cell count. So
it's a critical mineral. Absolutely.
Yes, for other things.
Yeah. Interesting. And we actually have another question here after Janine's about anemia.
Okay.
Which is also very interesting. This is from Helen. Helen says, I have chronic anemia. I'm not iron deficient.
Mm-hmm.
I had a shot of Aranesp, which did not help. My hemoglobin is 12.2 now. What can I do to help my anemia and foggy head?
Hemoglobin is 12.2?
Yeah.
That's not bad. 12.2. See, generally what you do is you multiply hemoglobin by 3 to get your hematocrit. And so 12 times 3 is 36. For a woman, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. So I'm not sure that's the cause of her foggy head. I'm not sure that
she may have a foggy head for another reason because that hemoglobin looks all right.
It's not terrible. She may have some hereditary condition like Mediterranean anemia or thalassemia trait.
The thalassemia. Okay.
Right. Which doesn't respond to iron. So she has normal iron.
Yeah.
So taking more iron isn't going to help. I'm
She's
not
not
sure
on
why they're
medication.
thinking of Aranesp, which is a powerful. That's the opposite problem. She doesn't have enough red blood cells, she thinks. But taking a powerful drug like Aranesp to promote red blood cells for a very marginal deficiency, hemoglobin was 12.2. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So is the doctor really thinking of giving her a powerful, expensive drug?
She already had the shot of Aranesp. Is that why her hemoglobin is 12.2 now?
Maybe it came from a baseline that was lower. Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So, sometimes a lot of older people have the opposite, not myeloproliferative diseases, but what's called myelodysplastic diseases, which means that it's kind of like tired bone marrow. Your bone marrow is not churning out all the three blood types, which are platelets and or white blood cells and or red blood cells. And so that can cause tiredness. It certainly can cause brain fog and it's kind of a concomitant of frailty. And so Aranesp is a stimulant to red blood cell production, and that is a treatment. And however, generally when you have a 36 point whatever hematocrit, 12.2 hemoglobin, the cause of your brain fog or fatigue is not anemia anymore. The Aranesp is doing its job. So, I mean, if this were, I'm trying to visualize this kind of, doing this kind of phone analysis is in some way frustrating because I would want to know more about this patient. What else is going on with this patient? What are some of the other factors that might contribute to fatigue?
Sure.
And
brain fog. Yeah.
Yeah. But since, it's a one-off because we're focusing only on her blood counts.
Yeah. Helen, the only clue we have is that she says she has chronic anemia.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's an anemia of chronic disease.
Anemia of chronic disease or, a myelodysplastic syndrome,
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. Okay. Helen, we hope you feel better. I mean, your hemoglobin did get up to a 12.2. Maybe for the foggy head, Dr. Hoffman, do you think things like maybe True Niagen or CoQ10 or some combination that can help with
urolithin
energy?
A, just mitochondrial support. Mitochondrial support is often a good place to
that can
start.
help with that. Make sure your diet is clean, Helen. We didn't talk about diet at all, but very clean.
Microbiome effects,
diet.
Thyroid, and on and on and on it goes,
Exactly. Thyroid can cause a foggy head too.
And it could be another nutrient. It could be, is B12 sufficient? I mean.
Yes. We don't know how old Helen is. We're assuming she's not a very young person.
Yeah.
But B12
just by virtue of the name Helen is there's two basic types of Helens. There's Helens who are like 70 plus, and then there's like, little Helens, Gen Z Helens, because all these names kind of recycle. So like, it's fashionable now. Helen, Molly, Agnes, these names are coming back.
Yeah. Mabel.
Mabel.
Gertrude.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Mabel's actually kind of pretty, but anyway. So, Helen, we hope you feel better soon. All right. Okay.
Good point at which to pause because we allow our sponsors an opportunity to showcase some of their latest achievements. So let's hear one of those announcements. You know that feeling. You're exhausted, but your brain just won't quit. You're staring at the ceiling, watching the clock, dreading the morning. Here's something that actually helps. It's called Kyolic Specialty Series Sleep Mushrooms Plus. And it's unlike anything you've tried before. This isn't some chemical sleep aid that leaves you foggy and dragging the next day. This is a clean botanical formula built around certified organic reishi mushrooms grown on real farms, not in a lab, combined with valerian root to help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer, L-theanine to quiet that racing mind, and Kyolic age-guard garlic extract, one of the most trusted wellness ingredients available for circulation and stress support. It's vegan, non-GMO, no gluten, no dairy, no artificial anything. Just 2 capsules, 2 hours before bed, and you wake up actually rested, not groggy, not out of it, just refreshed. Kyolic Sleep Mushrooms Plus from Wakanaga. Learn more about this and the entire Kyolic Mushrooms Plus line at kyolic.com. That's KYOLIC.com. Look for Kyolic at natural health stores nationwide and online. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting our sponsors. Of course, we partner with them to make these podcasts a free resource for you. And we are very selective of our sponsors, and we believe implicitly in their messages and support what they're trying to convey.
Yeah. Yes. Victor writes, a dear female friend, 59 years old, has suffered with what seems to be vestibular migraines for over 35 years. Mm-hmm. She's read extensively and tried.
So hang tight.
Yeah.
Migraines, we know, terrible headache, feels like an ice pick, with it's being stabbing you in the eye or in the forehead.
Yeah.
But a vestibular migraine is different. A vestibular migraine has to do with bouts of dizziness, sometimes accompanied by vomiting. And the idea is that instead of causing pain, it causes these other symptoms. So does he describe what the symptoms are of vestibular migraine? This is a relatively new concept that we can, a subtype of migraines is a vestibular migraine.
Yeah, he doesn't, but says she's currently avoiding high nitrate foods, has read extensively and tried numerous solutions. As a last resort, she will take a Fioricet at night,
well, yeah, it's a
which
powerful
usually
painkiller,
clears the migraine, in a day or two.
Yeah.
And what would you recommend?
Well, I don't know. There's these new migraine drugs.
Yeah.
And they are not that effective. We did a nice podcast with a migraine expert, which you can look up, where we did a deep dive on migraines with kind of an ingenious natural treatment for migraines that involves sodium balance. It's not that, by some, that sodium balance is a factor in migraines. Of course, there's a migraine diet. Talk to us about a standard migraine diet, which doesn't always work, but it can substantially reduce the risk of migraines. Then we'll talk about, why would anyone avoid nitrates, dietary nitrates? Right.
Well, really, sodium nitrite is really what we're talking about with regard to migraine, but also tyramine-containing foods.
Like
you're talking about
meats, things like
aged meats, cheeses, cured, dried, aged things, cheeses, chocolate. Sorry, chocolate lovers.
Yeah.
Red wine, things of that nature can be problematic. These are the things to avoid because tyramine is often a trigger, but there are also other triggers, whether it could be food allergy or anything like that. But often, Dr. Hoffman, you and I have seen in practice over so many years, typically migraine sufferers are very low in magnesium.
Yes, very much so. So, so nitrates. What's the problem? Nitrates are good. I mean,
dietary nitrate is good. We're talking about celery, the green leafy vegetables,
because
things
they
help with the production of
vasodilate.
Nitric oxide. Yes, vasodilation.
But actually, it is thought that in migraines, it's pathological vasodilation that's a problem. And so they actually use drugs that vasoconstrict as a treatment for migraines. Not usually, those drugs are not that successful, but they can be useful. They're based on, a natural thing called ergotamine. And so there are synthetic versions of that.
Just like when somebody is coming down with a migraine, we'll often reach for a very strong cup of coffee. It's for vasoconstriction.
Yes.
Which is helpful. You don't want vasodilation. And that might be the reason you're not having a glass of celery juice or beet juice or something like that. That will cause a lot of vasodilation.
So here's a little different take on migraines. Migraines are mediated to some extent by the vagal nerve. And so how do you address the vagal nerve?
Sing.
Yeah, well, there's something called VNS. vagal nerve stimulation. And there are new devices that you can put on your ear or, apply to your throat, and they will have an impact on your vagal nerve. And
yes,
I think there's a real potential for those devices, once they work out the technology, for helping sufferers of migraines. And so I've recommended them to some of our patients. And if you've had any experience with migraines and, you've gotten a benefit from vagal nerve stimulation, please share your experience with us, because we'd like to hear from you. Okay.
Yeah.
That I think is, or if you've had, any thing that really has worked for your migraines, there are these new migraine drugs, and Lady Gaga does the commercials for them, right?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Lady Gaga.
I normally mute all that stuff when I see a drug ad. Oh, I can't wait till they go away.
Well, that's an interesting thing. I'm going to talk about that, maybe in an upcoming newsletter article, because that is in the crosshairs. Those ads are in the crosshairs, and it's amazing how much the pharmaceutical industry spends on those drugs and how dependent ad agencies are on drug companies and also the networks. And if you watch the, NBC Nightly News, or if you watch the Today Show, a fairly significant single-digit percentage of their revenue comes from pharmaceutical ads. And they're just, especially when things are geared more to an older audience, and it's older people who, they're kind of like sitting at home. They're at home, plunked down in front of the TV set at 6:00, and they have the tradition, because they used to watch Walter Cronkite and, Huntley Brinkley, and they're still watching the news as if they're going to see something significant happen at 6 that hasn't appeared on their, on X much earlier in the day, or been reported on the radio. The drug addicts are targeted towards older individuals. Yeah,
they are. So a lot of older individuals are still watching those types of programming. They're not necessarily watching anything on the internet, for example.
Weird stuff like bipolar disease.
Oh, my goodness.
How many people have bipolar? I mean, is it really,
I think it's overdiagnosed, in my opinion.
Yeah. Or
you get angry and you're called bipolar. I don't know about that.
Oh, hey, do you know what the number one TV advertised drug is? You'll never guess.
Oh, please. Isn't it Ozempic and Mounjaro?
No, they don't. That would be like advertising. That'd be like advertising hotcakes. You don't need to advertise those. They're flying off the shelf anyway. So once they introduce those drugs, the demand exceeds the capacity of the companies to keep up. The number one drug is Dupixent. Now, you know what Dupixent is?
Yeah.
Dupixent is a drug for atopic dermatitis. So a lot of people with skin problems, they're using a powerful biologic drug, immunosuppressive drug.
That eczema ad, yes.
Yeah, Dupixent, right. But also there are a lot of psoriasis ads for powerful biologic drugs. And those drugs kind of worry me, because they suppress the immune system, and you get clearer skin, but, if you get exposed to something bad, maybe your immune system's not going to respond as well.
True. Oh, other things for migraine, you want to make sure you get plenty of B vitamins, especially riboflavin. Maybe some feverfew or butterbur.
Yep.
These are very good herbs for migraine. A lot of people have done very well with that. But another question Victor asks, and this may explain why his dear friend has so much migraine.
Yeah.
Victor says she also, most of her adult life, has had to live on 3 to 5 hours of sleep.
That ain't good.
Wow.
That ain't good.
She wants to avoid prescription medication. She's currently taking about 240 milligrams of magnesium glycinate to relax before bedtime, which seems to help considerably. Okay, that's a good thing. Can you recommend any other natural substances that might help?
CBD.
She also plans to start
CBD. CBD.
Well, yeah.
And then also the product that I like for pain is called Relief by CV Sciences, and that might be a plausible add-on.
Yeah, Victor was saying she'd love to get medical marijuana, but she lives in an area where she can't get that.
No, just use the Relief product. You don't need medical marijuana. You can use the CV Sciences products. CBD. And they actually have some products that are fairly high in THC. You don't need much to get a pain relieving effect. And that's available over the counter. You can just, buy it and have it shipped to you.
Yeah, Victor, wow. 3 to 5 hours of sleep. That's not a way to live. Okay.
Something's out of kilter there, because that cumulative sleep deficit can really have a deleterious effect on brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's a lot of short-term memory issues and all kinds of other things, mood issues as well. All of these can be triggers.
It doesn't allow the lymphatic system which is the cleanup system of the brain, to do its work.
Yeah.
There's kind of a cleanup that occurs when you're sleeping through the lymphatic circulation of your brain. It's called the glymphatic system that tends to remove debris from the glia, which are brain cells. And you're not doing adequate cleanup, and toxic burden can build up. So
sleep is part of the equation of a healthy life.
Yep.
There's no way around it, really. And there's no such thing as catching up on sleep on the weekend. There is no such thing.
Yeah.
We all need to promptly get to bed at a reasonable hour and get a minimum of 6 hours.
Yep.
Or something like that. So that would help. Victor, best of luck to your friend. Best of health to you.
Except for President Trump, who doesn't seem to sleep. I don't know.
He doesn't.
No.
But yeah. Yeah, and he's as sharp as a tack. So yeah, it is.
Well, some people may not say that he's the paragon of mental health, but certainly he's certainly evincing a high degree of activity, and he is very quick on the uptake with questions and so on. I mean, which is not something that we're used to in a president. It's quite a vivid contrast, and he's
really is.
I think he's 78. Yeah. So.
He's going to be 78 in June.
Oh, okay. There you go.
1946. No, he's going to be 79 in June.
79.
Oh, my.
That's what I thought. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. He's going to be 79.
I mean,
but listen. On that note, Dr. Hoppen, we're still in middle age, or let me speak for myself. Yeah. I'm 61 in middle age. And I just have to share this email from Lorraine.
60 is the new 45.
That's it. 60 is, I like to call it the new 40, but.
There you go.
Lorraine writes, we hear so much about the Blue Zone residents.
Yeah.
Our family is blessed with our very own inspiration, who lives independently, shops with us, cooks from scratch, cleans her condo herself, knows the Bible inside and out, remains an optimistic ray of positivity and gratefulness, and only takes blood pressure medications. She cheers at all of her great-grandchildren's games and events. Lorraine's mother is 101 and a half. Whew. Isn't that something?
I want what she's having.
I know. And Lorraine writes, just wanted to share the healthy, vibrant, young at heart person she is with you and Dr. Hoppen. I am forever a huge fan of intelligent medicine. Being a listener since Dr. Hoppen continued the show from a long time ago. I always share the wisdom you share with her. Heartfelt appreciation for all that you both do to help all your followers live the healthiest, happiest lives. Bless you and yours. Thank you, Lorraine. And how wonderful. And she sent a picture of her mother, and she's just lovely.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a lot of study now going on about, whether it's the genetic makeup or whether it's the lifestyle. And it appears that it's very heterogeneous. There's not one single formula to longevity. It may be that some people are on a vegetarian diet. Some people are on, a carnivore-based diet. Some people are taking a little schnapps, with dinner every night.
Oh, yes. If you live on Santorini, you're having grappa daily. Oh, my God.
There you go.
But you know what? There is also social connection. And a profound thing that I heard from a Dr. Zach Bush said, the question is not what did you eat for dinner, is who did you have dinner with?
There you go. Okay. Yeah.
I thought that was profound.
That is very.
Because we're talking about these blue zones, there's multi-generational living. It's not necessarily like here in America where everybody's independent and out on your own and it's, a badge of honor and your success if you're independent and not living, generationally with everybody and so forth and so on. But it's really something. There's a lot of more community connection. There's a lot more connectedness, and not via social media.
Yeah, but I also shared an interesting perspective on the blue zones. And one of the commonalities of the blue zones is their very poor record keeping. So in these places where, some of these isolated places, these Shangri-La-like places, people,
Okinawa.
they think they were born in,
Okinawa,
1904, but
You're
it's not,
when were you born?
it's not exactly clear,
Where are the records? Where can we go? Yeah, that's interesting. I remember that article you wrote.
Well,
it's worth reading again.
It's even in my family. Maybe it was that they thought if they recorded a birth date that it would be a jinx because there was such a high level of infant mortality, or maybe it was that they were so far away from the public authorities that they would wait until the baby was viable at a certain age, and then they would go, like 20 miles by horse and buggy to a place where there was some bureaucrat who recorded the birth information. And frankly, in some parts of the world, that was a little sketchy. That whole process was a little sketchy, I don't know.
Wow.
So my grandfather, we would always celebrate his birth on January 1st. We didn't really celebrate his birth, but, we asked him, what's your birthday? He goes, I don't know.
That's interesting. Oh my gosh, everybody and their stories. It's so interesting to hear about all of that. But wow.
Anyway, we have time for one more question. We can squeeze that in. Shall we do that?
Okay. Yes, this is from Barbara.
Yep.
Oh, Barbara writes, I took my daughter to you many, many years ago. She's passing strep throat to my husband. They kept on getting it, but she never had symptoms. You had treated her with drops under her tongue. And I don't remember if this was in the office or I had to continue doing this at home, but it cured her and she never had strep again, nor did my husband. I can't remember what type of therapy this is called.
Yeah. What is she's passing strep to her husband? Is that?
Yeah.
Well, it's like stop kissing.
Yeah.
Because it's not an aerosolized thing. It's actually transmitted through oral contact mostly, I would say.
Okay.
If that's really what's happening. But, so this kind of goes way back when. This is not a therapy that I still do, but we did sublingual immunotherapy. And in sublingual immunotherapy, we would prepare drops that were appropriate to a person's condition. And I believe that for people who suffered from various types of bacterial infections, we would inoculate them with low doses, killed doses, obviously, of whatever bacteria it was that was a problem. And this is actually a very old technique. This was done in the 1920s and 30s and 40s before antibiotics came in, is we would vaccinate people. But really went out of favor in the antibiotic era. But I think more and more, we're beginning to believe that antibiotics may have outlived their usefulness to some extent, and that what we really should be doing is we should be tailoring specific, in homeopathy, they call these things nosodes, like very tiny doses of the thing that causing the problem. So before they had treatments for tuberculosis, they would use a tuberculinum nosode. And so we might have used a strep nosode. I don't remember. So many years ago. It's going to be like 35 years ago. And however, this is not standard medical care. And I stopped doing it. And, part of it is that, it's innovative, but it's also not something that's condoned. And, especially if you, for a while, when a doctor prescribed some kind of therapy, the insurance companies would cover it. But after a while, the insurance companies wised up and they said, well, this is not standard of care. we're not going to cover it. By the way, we're going to refer you to the authorities because you're doing some kind of renegade therapy. So I may have abandoned it because people couldn't afford it because it wasn't covered by insurance. Yeah. And B, because it was kind of risky, not to the patient, but to me professionally. And it just kind of fell by the wayside. I don't know anybody who's still doing it. Maybe there's a few outlier physicians who are still doing it somewhere.
Wow.
And, some of them are old timers who were doing it many, many years ago, but they're dying off. Mm-hmm. But so, for example, there is this notion of doing a specific vaccine for bladder infections. Uh-huh. There's some people just get bladder infection after bladder infection after bladder. They're constantly on antibiotics. And there is a program in the UK where they have an investigational new drug application for a bladder infection vaccine. Uh-huh. And I'm not sure whether it's oral or injected, but it's designed to boost the immune response so that people resist the infection to begin with. So again, it's a root cause thing. It's addressing the root cause, which is a lack of immunity, natural immunity against certain bacteria. And, I think we should keep our eye on these types of efforts because this may come back in a new kind of a high-tech form that goes through regular drug approval channels, ultimately, not as a guerrilla tactic or holistic or renegade treatment.
Okay. Wow. Fascinating stuff.
Indeed.
Fascinating stuff, as always. I want to remind everybody to email your questions. Go to questions@drhoffman.net. That's questions@drhoffman.net.
Okay. Thanks very much, Leyla, for joining us today. I enjoyed our colloquy.
Yes.
And
likewise.
We appreciate everybody's questions. They tee off interesting conversations that make Q&A with Leyla really a pleasure for both of us and also hopefully a useful resource for you. So just jot that email down, questions@drhoffman.net to come into our office so that we can handle your situation. Good stuff.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Dr. Hoffman.
I'm Dr. Ronald Hoffman, and this is the Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I want to thank you for listening to the Intelligent Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast app, and get new episodes automatically downloaded every weekday. And please give us a rating and review. It truly helps new people discover intelligent medicine. The Intelligent Medicine Podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice, and no doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of information on this podcast or materials linked from this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they may have and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. Finally, please visit drhoffman.com and discover everything intelligent medicine has to offer, including frequently updated, unbiased health news and fully vetted product and supplement recommendations.
This is Leyla Muden, registered dietitian nutritionist. I maintain a private practice and see patients regularly. If you require a nutrition consult with me but live out of town, there's no need to travel to New York City. I have telephone and telehealth consultations with clients from all over the country. Please visit drhoffman.com for more information. And to set up an appointment, call 212-779-1744. That's 212-779-1744. I look forward to being a collaborator in your healthcare.